With Fred VanVleet signing with the Houston Rockets, the point guard position for the Toronto Raptors is going to look very different going into next season. I mean, we just signed Dennis Schroeder. We drafted or signed an undrafted free agent, Marquise Noel. Jeff Doughton Jr. is likely going to be on the roster for the entire year, and Scotty Barnes has been pretty outspoken about wanting to play the PG spot in the NBA. And now there's another point guard on the Toronto Raptors radar, as Ayo Dosunmu is a guy on the Chicago Bulls that apparently the Raptors have a lot of interest in. So we'll discuss the entire point guard position, all the drama going on in that situation regarding the Toronto Raptors in this video. And also Jalen McDaniels had some interesting comments in his introductory press conference. So lots of stuff to break down in this video. Without further ado, let's jump to the first topic of discussion. The first thing we're taking a look at is the Raptors being interested in another point guard. Ayo Dosunmu, a guy that has had some big games against the Toronto Raptors in the past, is a player that apparently the team has gauged a solid bit of interest in this summer. Now, we do have, we've brought in a lot of guys, brought back a few players, made some different moves, but there is still a little bit of space for Dosunmu to come in. And Jake Fisher basically came out and said on Yahoo Sports that the Raptors have a lot left to determine after losing Fred VanVleet to the Rockets. Toronto did add Dennis Schroeder as a replacement, and the Raptors sources have said also expressed interest in Bulls restricted free agent guard Ayo Dosunmu. It remains to be seen if Toronto will conduct further business to overcome the loss of their starting point guard. So basically, Fisher's indicating that the Raptors, even though we brought in Schroeder, even though we do have a lot of potential options, no guaranteed star players at the PG spot, they might not do anything. They might do a little bit more business in terms of getting another guy. You look at Dosunmu as a player, he's a very interesting prospect. I mean, he's just coming off his second season with the Chicago Bulls, averaged 9 points per game, 3 rebounds, 2.6 assists. 49% from the field is really, really solid for a guy. Dosunmu come in, slash really well, but if you look at his fall from grace, at least in terms of three-point shooting from his rookie season to his second year, that's the big thing that has frustrated some Chicago Bulls fans. So if the Raptors can swoop in, get his three-point shooting right, because he was a guy during his rookie year a lot of people had a lot of high praise for. So him leaving after his first 2 seasons with the Bulls would be really surprising, especially with Lonzo Ball's injury going down. I mean, they just brought in Javon Carter. They have some pieces still at the point guard position, but if you said that to me last year, that all the Bulls would just kind of let him go after his second year, then that would very much come as a shock to myself. But given the fact that he's regressed in the shooting front, it makes sense, especially when you look at the roster being with DeMar DeRozan there. Patrick Williams can certainly knock down the three. Zach LaVine, Vucevic. So there is other floor spacers, but having a backcourt with DeMar and Dosunmu might not make a lot of sense if he's not hitting threes on a consistent basis. Just 31% for his most recent year, 37% during his rookie season. So Dosunmu would be a very interesting fit for the Raptors. Plays solid defense, is fast, can slash, not a horrible, playmaker by any means. So could be a cool fit if he's brought in. But the Toronto Raptors have a lot of decisions to make at the PG spot, because we have a guy that could be a starting point guard in the NBA in Dennis Schroeder. I mean, 13 points per game last season coming off the bench for the Lakers, 2.5 rebounds, 4.5 assists, 33% from the three-point line, so still not great from out there. Less effective from the field goal percentage, lower field goal percentage, I worded that poorly, but also is a very, very solid defender, strong, athletic, mobile, and could just bring a spark, whether he's coming off the bench for the Raptors or starting. But again, a team with Scotty Barnes, Jakob Poeltl on it, and Siakam, who's can be hot and cold at times from behind the three-point line. Having a three-point shooter having a point guard that can shoot threes seems to be essential for this Raptors squad. I mean, it only makes sense. And now with Fred VanVleet on his way out, who sure wasn't hitting a high percentage this most recent season, I think everyone would agree was one of the better shooters on the squad this most previous year. So him going out, bring him in with Schroeder might not fit that well. Jeff Doughton Jr. again didn't hit the highest percentage in a very small sample size with the Raptors this most recent year. Marquise Noel is a guy that seems like coming from college can let it fly from deep, but is only 5'7". He said he's 5'7" in an interview during the Summer League, so that's what Savannah Hamilton said. I haven't seen the full interview. She just sort of teased it in a tweet, but apparently Marquise says he's only 5'7". So defensively, there's question marks there. But the thing a lot of people have been saying, and Riker's been pretty adamant about wanting to see this season, is Scotty Barnes play the point guard role. And apparently Darko is saying it could happen. Now, we heard Nurse say these things last summer as well. We were all getting hyped for points, Scotty. Fred VanVleet coming off as the 2, playing as more natural, or the position he's more suited for, in my opinion. Playing more off the ball, the same way he did with Kyle Lowry in previous years. We're all hyped for it. Scotty PG, Fred at the 2, and see what happens. Well, Darko's coming out and saying similar things, as basically, so Christian Koloko, unavailable, we talked about that the other day, but Darko Rajakovic also confirmed Scotty has been in Vegas training with the team, and yes, he wants the ball in his hands a lot this year. So whether that means point guard or not, still yet to be seen, but he wants the ball in his hands to be more of a creator, sort of roll out with it, and that's exciting to hear, because Scotty Barnes at times certainly becomes a little bit passive out there on the floor. I mean, we ran some sets last season where Scotty was just kind of set in a position to be a floor spacer, chilling in the corner, chilling at the 3-point line. Yes, he was probably meant to cut and dunk and run the dunker in those schemes, but a lot of times it just ended up with him getting kicked out the ball after Fred's dribbling around for 15 seconds, and then Scotty having to either force up a tough midi, a deep 3, which just isn't really his game. So the ball being in his hands, being able to create, facilitate for others, definitely has me excited. And Scotty still has in his Instagram bio that he's a 6'9" point guard. So he still looks at himself, still views himself as a PG, and maybe with Darko Rajakovic coming in and saying, hey, Scotty, the ball's in your hands more this season. We're training, we're setting you up to be that role, to have that role for the Toronto Raptors. Maybe we won't need another guard coming in. Scotty Barnes can run that point guard position, and then add another shooter, right? We have some guys, Grady Dick now, who can sort of slide into that 3 spot, knock down some threes. Obviously, OG, Gary Trent Jr., they can space the floor. They can knock down some shots. I mean, our best 5 players right now would be Scotty Barnes at the point, Gary at the 2, OG at the 3, Siakam at the 4, Pirtle at the 5. That's our 5 most talented guys on the roster. Schroeder has had the most success in his career coming off the bench, especially in those OKC days, was putting up some ridiculous stats off their bench there. So, having Schroeder off the bench to be a spark plug would be nice. Precious, Boucher, right? Hopefully they're more consistent this upcoming season. Koloko is currently dealing with a respiratory issue. Maybe he can be more of a capable NBA starting or backup center in this upcoming year. Jalen McDaniels is a really exciting pickup. Grady Dick on the roster is really nice. So the Raptors have some depth, and with Scotty Barnes moving to the point guard spot, I think that's the avenue you take rather than going the Dosunmu route. But let me know what you guys think about this whole point guard situation for the Raptors. They have a lot of options, nothing guaranteed to be perfect, but I think Barnes is the point guard starting with Schroeder as the backup when things go awry a little bit. That's what I think might be the best route for the squad. But speaking of Jalen McDaniels, he had an interesting press conference, introductory press conference, as he had some fun comments. Seemed like a chill dude. Happy to be here. Josh Loomberg summarized what he said in one of his quotes that I felt like it fit my playing style. And listening to it, he basically discussed how the Raptors have a lot of 6'9" guys that are mobile, that are athletic, and he can come in and provide that sort of value for this team. Also discussed how he's a 3-point shooter. He'll be able to space the floor for the squad, which is definitely something we're looking for our wing guys, because a lot of the big problems with the 6'9" vision playing the small ball is that the Raptors brought in guys that, in theory, small ball, you're supposed to be quick, athletic, mobile, and everyone's a floor spacer, right? Everyone can knock down threes, drive the lanes, and all these types of things, whereas our 6'9" guys just weren't consistent at hitting threes from behind the 3-point line. So Jalen McDaniels being confident in his 3-point shot is an encouraging sight to see. And he also said that he mentioned all long wins with the team. All long wins with the team, yeah, that, as I just discussed. And it feels good to be wanted by the organization. Not sure if that's throwing some shade there at the Philadelphia 76ers, who acquired him at last year's trade deadline. Definitely didn't utilize him the way he was getting utilized down there in Charlotte. They didn't bring him back. So I don't know if he's throwing shade there. The Raptors happy to bring him in. So Jalen McDaniels is a guy I'm excited to see out there on the court, and seems like he'll be a good fit. So let me know what you guys think about all this Toronto Raptors news. You guys are the best to make it this far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. It means the world to me. And if you guys want to stay up to date with the latest news regarding Jakob Poeltl and Scotty Barnes, I don't know where this thing is going to show up. Click this video right here. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.